Good evening, everyone. Here we are at the Londonderry View, episode 67, and we're continuing with our candidates night, giving you an opportunity to get to know the candidates that are willing to take that risk and run for election at our town election coming up on March 14th. So tonight we'd like to welcome Maureen Hardy for being with us, and she's running for the one-year budget committee position. And Maureen, thank you for being with us.
Welcome. Thank you both for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And we just want to take an opportunity to tell the people at home a little bit about yourself and why you're running for this position on the budget committee.
Hello, I'm Maureen Hardy, and I am new to Londonderry, relatively new. I moved here almost 3 years ago from Illinois, and I chose New Hampshire because it's the live free or die state. I value our freedoms and our liberties, and on top of that, it's just a beautiful, fun state where you can go surfing or hiking or biking or skiing, and it's just beautiful scenery. So it's an all-around great state, and I'm happy to be here. About a year after I arrived, I decided to do the Leadership Londonderry program, and that's a program designed to develop volunteers and leaders. And during the course of that class, I was encouraged to run for budget committee, so I decided to run. My background is rather analytical. I was a clinical microbiologist for 25 years, and then I worked in research and development and diagnostic devices, and then I went into compliance in pharmacovigilance. And all of that is rather logical and analytical work, and I have great attention to detail. I know that I'll be working with the town and the school district and the library, and it will give me more opportunity to get to know all the players in the town, and it will give me an opportunity to learn about the budget. And I would really like to be an advocate for the taxpayers, because when the taxpayers hire me, vote for me, they're hiring me. So I work for the taxpayers, and I want to ensure that everyone in town gets the services that keep them safe, and at the same time are not taxed too heavily so that they have to leave town because they can't afford to live here. Mm-hmm. I am retired, and I myself am living on fixed income. So I understand the stressors, and I understand that things need to be looked at very carefully. But at the same time, we want to have the services, the fire, the police, the DPW, everything that keeps us safe and secure. So that's why I'm running.
Oh, well said.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Did I leave anything out?
No, I thought that was beautiful, and I loved how you started with that, your love of New Hampshire, because it's the live free or die state and the beauty that we have. And when you mentioned about that, truly the residents are hiring you, and maybe in a volunteer, in a sense, way, but they're really depending on you when they elect anyone to represent them and be their voice. So, and how did you pick New Hampshire from Illinois?
I had a list of states. I have a friend here who's now my life partner, and part of it was, the taxation. I have to say this, but my property taxes in Illinois, you're not going to believe this, they're actually higher.
Wow.
Than
oh my goodness.
people are paying here. And we have very high sales tax and high income tax, and it was only getting worse. I grew up there and I loved it there, but part of it was that New Hampshire is for liberty and freedom, mm-hmm. and the ability to make your own decisions. So I
think that draws a lot of people here from other states. Just the non-income tax, right, as well as the sales tax. And it's good to hear that there's other states that pay higher property, right, because a lot of people say ours is higher, but right, it really isn't. There's a lot of states out there that are much higher.
Yeah, it always surprises people when I tell them that Illinois is higher.
Yeah.
It's one of the highest property taxes in the country.
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed that. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you, just to give our viewers a little taste of your life, if you will, do you have any hobbies or anything that you'd like to let them know about? Or
Sure. So I'm a swimmer. I'm a master swimmer. So I'm
Oh,
a
wow.
member of the
My
Granite
goodness.
State Penguins right here in Londonderry.
Oh, good.
We swim at the workout club. And I also am a bead weaver. So that's my craft, my main craft. I've done mosaics, I've done watercolors, but I do bead weaving, one bead at a time, and that's one of my hobbies.
Oh my goodness.
And then we have a year-old chocolate Labrador puppy,
Oh,
Keeps you busy.
so he's been keeping me incredibly busy.
yeah,
so
yeah. Oh, I can imagine. They have a lot of energy.
Oh,
He has a lot of energy.
Oh, a year-old
Yes.
boy.
So
It's too funny.
between all of that, I'm quite busy.
Well, I think your background is excellent for the budget committee. Because
Absolutely. Analytical
you've
part.
really got to
and-
be able to take apart all the different layers of every, budget, really, to see where you can cut. And unfortunately nowadays, a lot of it is cutting and
Yeah.
things like that, and it's really hard. It's hard. So
Maybe
to be
moving.
able to, yeah.
And something else we were talking about too at the beginning of this show is it really is wonderful and meaningful that Maureen is here with Deb and I tonight, because her race is uncontested, so her name will be the only name, Maureen Hardy, on the one-year budget committee. So it really means a lot that she wants all of us to get to know her, because she will be representing us. And so she took the time on a pretty dreadful driving night out there to be here when she really maybe didn't have to. So we
Exactly.
really all thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you again for having me. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I could tell a brief, maybe boring story about similar experience, but I was on the HOA board in my condo association in Illinois, and a number of the board members wanted to replace all the siding on all the buildings, and the siding was 9 years old, and we would have had to take a large loan and have a special assessment in our HOA dues. And I looked up that siding's useful life is closer to 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
But people were complaining about how it looked. So after I looked that up, I went back to the board and I said, why don't we just power wash all the buildings?
Oh my goodness.
And we avoided a giant loan to buy new siding, which we didn't really need.
It just needed a good cleaning.
They just
Power
needed
washing.
a good cleaning. So
And it did the trick.
it did the trick. It was
Yeah.
perfect.
Just thinking
you just-
simplistically outside of
Yeah,
the box.
Outside of the
Exactly.
box,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, right,
I think that's a great story.
Oh,
And
thank
that's
you.
what our voters, our residents are going to be looking to you to do within
Exactly,
the town, like
exactly.
asking those questions and trying to think of other ways to get the job done.
Mhm.
So no, that's perfect.
Oh,
That's wonderful.
Yeah, good stuff.
okay.
Yeah. So at this point,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a minute left, if you did want to say anything to the voters in your last
Okay,
little.
I think I have to read this because it is my wish to serve the town of Londonderry with integrity, authentic service, and duty to the community. I welcome any questions from the public. I'm open to questions and outreach.
That's great. That's
I
great.
think that's a perfect way to end our show. So thank you, Maureen, for
Thank you
being
so
here
much.
with us.
Thank
We
you
really
both.
appreciate it. And thank you for being willing to run.
It's my
you know,
pleasure.
And take on the position. Thank you. Hi, everyone. We're back. And now we have with us Tim Porter, who's running for the school board position. And Tim, thank you for being with us tonight. We're
Thank you so much.
anxious to hear a little bit
My
about
pleasure. Good to see
why
you
you're
both.
running. Good to see you.
So, Sherry, I know this is a reiteration for you because I just did this last year, but I'll give a little background of who I am and why I'm
Wonderful.
running. I grew up here in Londonderry, along with my 4 brothers. My parents moved to town in 1978 when the town only had about 6,000 people in it. So it's gone through a few changes since then.
Mm-hmm.
But the four of us came up through town, went through the school district, met my wife at North School in first grade, and we both graduated in 1999. I ended up sticking around. Ended up going to UNH. I've never really traveled far. And my brothers and I, we all have settled here in town, all four of my brothers and their
That's great.
families. So now I have 3 kids in our district. I have 5 nieces and nephews that are in our district. Because we all love Londonderry, we appreciate the education that we got here in town, and we only want to see it do well. I also have 2 businesses here in town that we run. My brother and I co-own a financial planning practice as well as a tax practice right up by the post office. As far as the school board goes, I started following the meetings primarily during the turn of COVID and the spring of 2020 when a lot of people started paying attention. And that's when I started attending meetings once meetings became in person. And from when they did, I was at pretty much every one since. And I started to notice, not just because of the policies that I disagreed with or agreed with regarding how they were handling COVID, but I started getting a little more involved in how they were handling the budget and the different things that were entailed by a school board member as I watched them progress through what they were doing. And I started trying to think of how I could actually apply my skills to what was going on. So as far as what I do for work and why I think it could apply to what a school board member does, I don't have an education or a background or career that's focused in education. My career for the last 21 years has been in financial planning, both for families and small businesses, and helping manage their life savings.
Right.
So with my job, it's literally my responsibility to put their needs ahead of mine and manage tens of millions of dollars to make sure that they're achieving their life goals. So I think that can correlate to what a school board member has for a responsibility,
Oh, yeah.
especially in a town like this where our annual budget is now, this year, it's probably going to be north of $85 million. It's a school board member's job to allocate those funds for the district to run appropriately. And there's nothing any of us want more than to have our children to get the best education possible. But we also always have to be cognizant of the fact that we are responsible for the taxpayers' money. And it's a public school district, and I love having the kids go through this school district. I wouldn't have it any other way. I truly appreciate the education that I received through this district and what it's done for me. And I want the same for my kids. But with the size of that budget, having each of the 5 school board members be you can view it this way, they're personally responsible for allocating $17 million of the taxpayers' money.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I have experience doing that every day with the job that I have.
Yeah.
So I think that it could really provide a service to the town that I would say none of the other board members really have the experience with. So I think it's an important balance on the board to make sure that you have people that are focused in education in their careers with people that are also focused in finances and running a business.
Oh, definitely.
I agree.
Definitely.
Right.
So one thing I've thought about recently with regard to the structure of the board and the power balance that we have, and I think it's set up really well as far as a public school district, because it's very similar to a publicly traded company in that a publicly traded company, you have a board of directors
Right.
that has a CEO, and the CEO's job is to run that company. To run that company as efficiently as possible and produce the best product or service that they can provide.
Mm-hmm.
And that board of directors is beholden to the shareholders of that company. The shareholders are the investors, and they expect the best out of the company.
Right.
Otherwise, they're going to invest elsewhere. So the structure of a school district is actually pretty similar if you think about it, in that the school board is that board of directors.
Right.
The superintendent is that CEO, and it's his job to run the district. But that school board, it's their job to make sure that they are providing oversight and providing the policy for the CEO to follow. And the people that school board is beholden to is not the shareholder, it's the taxpayer.
Right.
And the taxpayers rely on the people that they elect to make sure that they are looking out for them at every turn, with every policy that's put in place, and the product, or what's spun off by the company, or in this case, the school district, is the quality of the education that you're getting
For our children.
for our kids,
Right.
which is
Yep.
the most important thing at all times.
Absolutely.
And I have 3 young kids in the district. I have 2 at Matthew Thornton, I have 1 at the middle school, and we're going to be here for a while. And I have 5 nieces and nephews that I have to look out for their well-being as much as I can too. And so I think I can provide a lot of value in making sure that I provide that oversight while keeping in mind that the most important thing is that highest quality education possible that we can provide for them.
That's
I
awesome.
think that was very well
Yeah,
said.
very well said.
And the analogy with a company and a corporation and a town or a school.
Yeah, it's not completely analogous in that with a corporation it's really just about the bottom line and getting the most value there, but the most value for a school district comes in the form
It really does.
of the kids' education. But you can also make sure that every decision and policy is scrutinized appropriately and reasonably by the board. Sometimes there are going to be times where you might have a disagreement with a policy that the district office wants to implement. And it's your job as a board member to stand up and voice that on behalf of the taxpayers. And I'm willing to do that. So that's why I ran last year, and that's why I'm running this year.
And you always do ask great questions.
I try
You're
to.
a good
Even
listener.
even at the meetings where I'm one of maybe 2 or 3, or sometimes just myself in the audience, I am there.
And you are at every meeting.
Yes,
you
I am.
really are. And,
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to let our voters know out there? And
No, I mean, I guess basically just that I love the town of Londonderry because it has a strong sense of community. Sherry, as you know, anytime we go around, we run into each other. I run into friends and family all around town, despite the fact that it's grown from 6,000 people to 26,000 people. It still has that real small town sense
small
to it.
town Community, everyone takes
And
care of
I
each
feel
other.
like this is a way that I can give back to a town that provided me that wonderful childhood that I had, the great education that I received through our public school system, and it's provided me a base for my both of the small businesses that I help run, the tax practice as well as the financial planning
great.
practice. And this is a way that I can give back to the
You
community.
can bring all that knowledge
Yes.
and family and
Yep.
history back to the town and to the schools. So Tim, we thank you for being willing to run.
yes,
Yes.
thank you
And,
so much.
yeah.
Please make sure you get out and vote on March 14th this year.
Tuesday, yeah.
Tuesday, March 14th.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your vote.
Tim Porter, thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you
We
both.
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. We're back with Ron Dunn. Ron, thank you for being with us tonight. And Ron is running for our town council. 2 positions are open. And Ron, we appreciate your being here with us on the Londonderry View. So thank you.
welcome.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Thank you for having me.
Great.
I am currently one of your state reps, and I had to call Sherry quickly this afternoon because I thought I'd be late, so I appreciate her understanding. But I am, let's see, I started here in Londonderry in 2013. We moved up from Boston. We wanted a better quality of life. So we came to Londonderry. We said, hey, this is a nice town. We want to come here. And we love it here. And as far as the town council goes, I got involved in politics a few years ago and started going to all the meetings, becoming involved in the town politics. This past year, I decided to run for state rep. I was fortunate enough that the town elected me, and I love it. It is a little stressful sometimes. You know, like today, snowstorm, the session started an hour late, and then they took a recess, and then I wasn't sure if I'd make it, but I did, so thank you guys for your understanding, and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah,
It's been
good.
great
Yeah.
at scheduling
Good.
everyone
Yeah,
for us,
yeah,
so
yes,
that's been
good.
worked out great.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And you moved here in 2013.
Yep.
And loving the town and the people, so many good people that are here
Excellent
for
people.
the children, the seniors, and what are some of the things that, like your hopes and dreams for the community, Ron?
So I would like to see us continue to do good things like we are already. I would like to continue to see us grow and develop. We already have a great, we have a great community. They all come together. I mean, you know, we have great candidates running. We have a good community. I'd love to see us just continue that. You know, one of the things that first got me involved in politics is the whole PFAS issue. And I know we're finally, as a state and as a town, we're finally getting some money to deal with that issue. And I know a lot of my constituents are affected by that. So I get a lot of phone calls about that issue. So that's something I'm very passionate about as a town. And I'd love to see, being on the town council, I'd love to see what I can do as a state rep to help our town qualify for more money. Because there's a lot of grant money out there for PFAS and to help us with a water system. So I'd love to be able to see what I can do to help us get more money for the town. You know, I think no matter how you feel about a water system or not, as I think we're growing as a community and we need a water system as infrastructure. So I think whether you opt in or opt out, the infrastructure should be there. And eventually we're going to have to do the infrastructure. So let's see if we can get some money from the state and from the federal government to help us pay for that, so it's not on the taxpayer.
All the taxpayers,
Mhm.
right?
So
Yeah,
so
there's a
that's
lot of
something-
money out there to be
There-
had if
there
you
is.
can just gotta find it. That's the thing. That's the
There
hard
is.
part.
And
Yeah.
apply for it.
And apply
Yes.
for it. Yeah.
That's right.
And New Hampshire DES is wonderful. They're wonderful people. Right now, I'm on Resources, Recreation, and Development, on my committee up at the State House, and I deal with them every day, and they're such wonderful people. They're willing to help. They are willing to take the time to explain something to you,
That's
or
good.
to help you learn or help you develop, whatever you need. They're really fabulous people. And so they're willing to help us. So I'm hoping that I can take some of my state resources and bring them to the town and really elaborate on that and try to help us bring some money here. So this amount of money that we're going to eventually have to spend isn't all on us. You know, or we can maybe do it over a slow period of time.
Exactly.
Maybe it's a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
So it's not like 200 million all at once, you know? It's a little bit at a time. Maybe
Yeah.
we can get, there's a lot of grants out there that will, if you put up, say 50, 40% of the money, they'll give you some of the money, 50, 60% of the money. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different programs out there. So I'd like to see if I can hopefully get us some resources that will help us. Maybe I can work with the town and see what we can do.
Bring
Try-
awareness.
Bring
to
awareness,
what's out
yes.
there.
Exactly.
Absolutely. No, that's
So-
great.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Gosh. But no, and it's hard to believe the election's March 14th coming up.
It is.
Yeah, 6 a.m. until 8 p.m.
Yes.
And no, that's, I can only imagine what life up at the Capitol, you know, it's a whole different world. When I go up there for legislative things and to talk about different things that
It's-
affect our world, town clerk, tax collector,
Yes.
it's amazing when you see it all.
It's definitely different than the local, but I think that's where you can bring them both together. You can bring both
Right.
avenues together.
Right.
You know, and the people at the State House on both sides of the aisle all work together. We know that we want to do one thing. We want to help the people that brought us,
Yeah.
you know, that elected us to the State House.
Yeah.
So I feel like everybody up there is working together, and I feel like we're working together here too. You know, so
That's
as a
good.
town, you know, I know we have different views and different opinions on how we get there, but I feel like we all kind of want to get to the same goal. We might have different ways to get to that goal, but I
Exactly.
feel like there's compromise in the middle, and we can work there. Like
Absolutely.
I really feel like everybody's opinion can be valued, and we can bring everyone together.
Right.
You know, I don't think that any idea is
Appreciate
no
it,
bad
right.
idea. You know, we can
That's
get
right.
you there
Yeah.
you know, in one way or another. So
Yeah, absolutely. And the networking you're doing at the State House opens
Yes.
new doors, you know, because it's people not just from Londonderry, it's people from all over the state.
it is.
And even, you know, on the federal level.
And as I meet more reps from the State House, I have more resources to help us too, because you know a lot of other towns out there are affected with the PFAS. Now you keep mentioning PFAS, but there's a lot of other issues out there that are not only that, but other issues that are affecting us
Right.
that I can draw on them to see how their town maybe dealt with it, or how they fixed it. So there's a lot of different resources out there that we can use that I can bring to the town council to help with issues.
Especially, with all your networking up
Yes.
there, it's really something that would help the town
Yes.
too, whatever the instances that we
Correct.
need help with or whatever, so, since we're growing and growing,
I-
and we're not gonna go backwards,
we're
we're only
not.
going
Nope.
forward.
That's right.
Nope.
27,000, almost
27,
pretty
yep.
close,
Yes.
which is,
And now, if we could just, what I'm working on right now is trying to get people to come out to the local election. Because as you know, we had, 16,000 people come out for the national
we
election.
did,
But then we only
yes, for
have,
the national.
3,000 people come out, 4,000, like, it's
4,000
it's like
last
a very
year.
small,
The year before that, we go
Percentage.
2,800, 1,700
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the storm. And Ron, I agree. To me, that is the most
So-
important thing. Our town elections
is.
is where everything that affects your home, your family, your
Personally, yeah,
life, every
exactly.
day
Yeah.
happens. And often people think, oh, I'm sure they'll be okay, or
Right.
oh, I'll go to the beach, I'll do something else instead. It'll be fine if I don't vote. And many elections have been lost, contests have been lost by one vote. So
Yep.
every vote is so important, and it's the one
Yeah.
thing that makes us all equal and democracy at its best. So you're right,
Absolutely.
that please come out and vote.
and I tell people when they come up and they ask me what issues, the local issues of what your pocketbook
It
depends
directly
on.
affects
That's
your
Like,
pocketbook.
what I do at the State House doesn't have as much impact on your pocketbook as what we do on the town council or what we do here at the local level.
Yeah.
Like, this is where your money is spent. Like, you need to come out to the local
Absolutely.
election
Right.
and vote. Either way, just come out and say
Right,
what you
yeah,
believe, because
yeah.
this is where your money's being spent right here.
Yeah, that's
So,
exactly right. Have a voice.
exactly.
And use it. If you can't make it to the election, you can always do an absentee
Absolutely.
ballot.
Come
They
into
should
the
be
town
ready
hall,
by,
yeah, or
by next week when
request
this is
them,
running.
yeah, or
right.
call us, we'll send it
Absolutely.
out.
Yeah.
Any way that we can help. If you want to get to the polls but you can't get there on your own, let us know. And there are good people that will help you to get there. And town
Absolutely.
elections are nonpartisan, which is what I love about them too. It's everyone working together for the same common good, for our town, our community, children. So it's one. Thank you for bringing that up.
No, I
so
think it's important because
Very
when I talk to my constituents, they say, oh, this bill or whatever bill it is, I'm like, you got to show up to vote at the local election because that's what's
right.
affecting your pocketbook. Like,
That's
our
right.
taxes are based on how much we spend here, our property
that's
taxes,
right.
So it's like, they really need to come
It
out
all
and vote.
starts here. It all
Yeah.
Yeah,
starts
that's
here.
well
Exactly.
put, Deb. That's
Yep,
it. It really
exactly.
does. It all starts.
It's really important that whatever side you vote on, I want you to come out to vote. I hope you vote for me. But I really like you just to come out and express your opinion. We've got a lot of warrant articles.
We do. Yeah.
I'm also on the budget committee. So,
That's right, I wanted you to mention that.
yeah,
That's right, yes.
So on the budget committee this year, we voted on a lot of spending bills. So come out and say your piece. It's too late if you tell me after the election, that you're upset that we spent this money. Come out and say your piece. At least you have a vote.
That's right.
You
yeah.
So please come out and vote for me. I'm Ron Dunn for town council. Come out and vote on the warrant articles. Say your piece. At least you have a vote. So
Yeah,
if you come
yeah.
out and you vote, and you at least have your voices being heard.
That's
You
right.
know, there's a lot of warrant articles that are important
Yes, they
to the
are.
town. They're important to the school. But just come out and vote on them.
Absolutely. And there's good information in the newspapers
There is.
and how the budget committee voted on certain things, how the town council. Do your best to get educated ahead
Absolutely.
of times,
Yeah,
right?
ahead of time.
Do a little research.
Yeah.
This is helping us to get to know the
Right.
candidates and the warrant articles. So, no, thank you, Ron. That was really important.
Yeah, no.
We appreciate
Well,
it.
thank you guys for having me.
Oh, it
Seriously,
was
this is
wonderful.
Oh,
Thank you for coming.
thank you for coming down, rushing
No, I-
down here for us. We
I didn't want to be
appreciate
late. I was like,
No,
So,
we
thank you,
appreciate
guys.
the call. Thank you, Ron, for
appreciate
being
it.
with us. All
It's
right.
wonderful.
thank you guys
so
for having me.
much.
Please come out and vote.
Welcome, everyone. We're back with Paul Skudlarek, and he's running for the 3-year budget committee position that we have open. And Paul, thank you for being here
Thank
with
you
us
so much.
tonight.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Thank
it very
you.
much.
It's wonderful that you're willing to run and be a part of everything. And so tell us a little bit about why you're running. And
Well, I've done this a couple of
Yes,
times.
you have,
I've run
yes.
for a few offices in the past, but my name is Paul Skudlarek, and I've been a resident here in Londonderry since 2001. Have 2 boys, married with 2 boys. Both of them are kind of long out of the house. One's 30. How old is he now? I've lost track. But he's 31, and then I have one that's 26 as well. And so they're doing their thing, but they went through the Londonderry School District, and I'm originally from Pennsylvania. Just to give you a brief history, originally from Pennsylvania. Went to college in Boston. The company I'm with currently, it's a large construction products manufacturer. I'm in the sales management side of the business, and I've been with them for a lot of years now. And we originally came to New Hampshire, lived in Hudson for about 10 years, and then moved to Londonderry, as I said, in 2001. And we've come to really love the community and the people here, and it's been a really great experience. The kids went through the public school system, and in terms of my activities in town here, I was for most of their youth I was coaching either baseball or basketball, soccer, oftentimes multiple sports during various times, and did that for probably 15 years. And really loved doing that, all-star teams and the like, and it was really a fabulous time to be kind of being that involved with my kids, and really enjoyed it. We miss it. We miss that part of it.
We do too, all
But
of that,
particularly now that they're gone, but now that they're out of the house, so
Right.
and in terms of my I've had some I was on the I'm running for budget, of course, and I was on the budget committee for a year in 2020 during the COVID kind of periods, which was
tough time.
a little bit of a
Yeah.
kind of a disjointed
Right.
period of time. You were in, you were out. It was you were kind of all over the place trying to feel your way through it. But I've always been somebody that's been active in town. That's always been involved. I really do everything I can do to try to make sure I understand what's happening around town. I've gotten to know a lot of the good people that work here, you and your husband, of course, and Bob Slater and the people on the school board, and I've known many of these people for some years now, and really take a lot of pride just making sure I have a good sense of what the community's doing and what they're up to. And then to be, as I walked into your office to sign up, I really hadn't any intentions of being, signing up for budget, but I could see that there weren't many people volunteering. And then I decided to just kind of step into it and make sure that we had, some of these positions filled with people that had some, some involvement previously.
And you're always willing to step up and help too. The legacy of how long you've been here, and sports committees. So
Absolutely.
that's well appreciated too.
Sure. Happy to do it.
things,
Yeah, so I think it's really important to civic engagement, and it's vital. I think for a town like ours. There's a way in which the town has gotten to where it is. We've seen some really amazing growth in town.
Right.
Of course, that's got to be managed in a certain way. You've got to make sure that the schools are managed in a certain way. There's a limited amount of money that's available. You have a variety of different income levels, and you have to make sure you understand kind of where people are.
Right.
But also make sure that you're taking care of the things within town, the roads, the infrastructure, the schools. All these things have to be managed in a certain way, in a prudent and thoughtful way, always with an eye toward what monies are available, and if we don't take care of certain things, what does that mean longer term?
Absolutely.
And I think we saw some of that play out with some school budgeting recently, where you've got some major infrastructure costs that have come up that are going to take a lot of money to fix, but so I think people have asked, what could we have done differently 5 years ago, 10 years ago to have addressed this maybe in a little bit more of an incremental way.
Right.
And I think hindsight is always 20/20. It's difficult to look back at those things to understand, but I think as you're trying to, every year is a little different, of course, and so I think the administration at the time did the best that they could in understanding what was in front of them. And now we've just got to face some things, and probably a bond, and I hope the bond that's out there is going to be voted up, and we'll kind of see how that plays out.
Yeah, one of our articles,
Yeah,
the warrant articles.
no question.
Got quite a few this time, yeah.
We do, yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
absolutely.
I was going to say too that I look at budgets. It's maybe a little bit cliche to say it, but it's it's a value statement is really what it is. You have to, if you value your school system and public education, the teachers that are there, make sure you pay them properly so you can attract quality people. It's incredibly important to do that. As we talked about with schools, is maintaining those buildings. These are all kind of value statements. Because we know that as we start to kind of detract from those things and we don't have, that focus, these things can quickly become a problem.
Yeah.
And we've seen a place like Croydon, New Hampshire, if you followed that story, where you had a group that very aggressively kind of went after the school budget and showed up at one of the town meetings, and they had enough people there, whether they had, they had a dominant number of
That's
people,
right.
And they were able to actually cut the budget by about half, right?
Wow, that's a big.
Yeah, in one
So,
night.
in one night.
In one night.
Fortunately, they were able to find
Yeah.
some ways of having, I think, a special meeting, and enough people showed up in the next meeting to be able to get that money back into the school system. But those are the things. If you don't have enough people
You're right,
participating,
absolutely.
very quickly things can go in a different direction.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a big one.
That was huge.
Oh.
That was
You
really
never
big.
think that can happen, but it can.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
That was, boy.
So
Oh, my goodness. So we have our election on March 14th
Yep.
coming up, and you've served on many different things in the community, which we're all very appreciative of.
sure.
And with the budget, I know, like in the year that you had served, transparency and all of those things are goals that you strive for with everything.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
yeah, so no, that's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly important that people understand what the budgets are, what's in them, and what their their tax money is going toward. It's vital, and I'm certainly all about being transparent about those kinds of things. You have to make sure you know where the money is. I think oftentimes people they show up at the voting booth, they see all these articles, and there's kind of they gaze at them as if they're kind of these new, where did they come from, how did they get
Truly.
developed?
And the wording can be confusing.
The wording can be confusing. It's a challenge for people to
Yeah.
understand
It
really
really
what's
is.
there. And one thing I've come to learn over time is that there's so much to the budgeting process, and there's during that budget season, there's meeting after meeting after meeting to where they work to the point of getting to the article. And so those final numbers, they have a lot of meaning to them that are based upon all the work that's led up to it, and people
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
John and Tom and some of the others have been part of town
Yes,
council, and of course the people at the on the school side of
School
things.
board,
Mhm.
right.
Work very hard to come up with
Yeah.
those numbers, and of course the administrators and police department, the rest of them. It's a really collaborative effort. And so finally, when they hand the product there and the warrant articles are voted upon, there's a lot of work that's gone into it to get to that point.
Hours upon
Hours
yeah,
upon
people-
hours,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
people taking up their their vacation time
That's
and
true.
their holiday
Volunteering,
time
right.
and away
True
from
volunteer
families.
time.
It is absolutely volunteer
Really
time.
is, and hours upon
Yeah.
hours. Yeah, my goodness. And that's why it's so important, Deb. We've talked about this before, that even if you're not certain on a certain warrant article, you can look and see, which I respect, what the budget committee thought and how they
Yeah.
voted, because they're there working endlessly for
Hours and
us.
hours, yeah.
So if I'm not quite sure, often I look to that, and also what the town council thought.
Yeah.
Because
And that's
they're
why we vote these people in
right
to be our,
to represent us.
to represent
Yeah.
us. Exactly,
Exactly,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
I want to lean on the budget committee to
Right.
do all that research so I can make
Exactly.
my decision in the voting booth, whichever way, knowing that they've
Right.
said this is a
They've
good
done all
idea
that
or not.
homework.
There's a reason for it,
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
a reason they voted
Exactly.
5-0 or 7-0, whatever it might be.
Exactly.
There's
Yeah.
maybe some conflict there.
Yeah.
and
We all don't want our taxes to go up, but sometimes, unfortunately,
yeah.
things have to be done for the future, so we don't get
That's
hit with a
right.
big number or whatever,
disaster, right.
right. And it's just the research, just knowing, and
Yeah.
all the work you guys do. I think it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it
In
really
that
is.
budget committee, they really
Oh
put
my
in so much
gosh.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, you have to look at the revenue side as well, of course. You have to, because there's obviously money coming from the states, there's grants, there's a whole variety of different ways in which, the budgets are impacted, both on the cost and revenue side of things. I can recall a lot of debate around, just one example, like in terms of the school side of things. They generate a lot of revenue through students from outside the district, Hooksett in particular.
Right.
And so it's really important that if we have seats that are available in these classrooms, is that we ought to fill them, because there's no cost, really additional cost to the school
Right.
district to do that. It's pure revenue.
It is,
Bringing in the
that's
money,
right.
yeah.
And it's it's 1.5 or 1.6 million dollars or something like that in a given year that we're getting from other places, and that money is really incredibly important to make sure that be able to provide the full range of services that you want.
Absolutely. From the
Is there
surrounding-
anything else you'd like to let our voters know on, as far as why they should vote for you to put in the budget committee, or you know, just have them get out there and vote, or?
Well, you know, I think for me, I've been around I think I know the town well. I've gotten, again, made it a point to get to know the various people that run the various departments. I'm a naturally curious person. I ask a lot of questions of people. I try to do it in a way that's respectful, and I'm not a guy that's looking for conflict whatsoever. But I understand that most of the people that are part of the boards, or they're involved in the community, are doing this for free. They're not doing this for any particular agenda or any
You're
particular
right.
reason. They're doing it to try to contribute in some way. And that's really what I've tried to do during my time here, is to just be a positive contributor
That's good.
and be available to people and be as transparent as I can. If people want to reach out to me, I think I've always been available to do that. And
Always, right.
I make that, I'll say that here as well.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful.
Make myself available, and that's kind of where I'm at. But I would appreciate people coming out to vote, and if they vote for me, I'll certainly do my very best and
To represent us.
to
Good.
represent you well.
Thank you, Paul.
Quite welcome.
Thank you for coming in. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank
it
you.
was
Thank you
wonderful.
for having me.
Hi, everyone. Next, we're with Ted Combs, who's running for our town council, 3-year position. And Ted, we thank you for being here on the Londonderry View with us tonight.
Of course.
We
Thank you
really
for coming.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. So again, my name's Ted Combs. I grew up here in Londonderry. Lifelong resident, except for maybe 3 years when we lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then we came back, and I've been involved in rec soccer, high school marching band all 4 years in high school. I was an Eagle Scout in town. I actually built the original prayer walkway at the St. Mark's
I
Church.
love that prayer walkway. It's beautiful.
It's about 150 yards, fans at the end, and a parishioner donated a very nice statue for it. And I know many other boys have added on to it over times. And so community service really drives home with me with being an Eagle Scout. It's one of the fundamentals. And then I went off to college. I went to Suffolk University in Boston. I came back home, started working, and started my MBA at Southern New Hampshire University. And I've been working in project management in real estate and on the commercial side for the past 10, 12 years now. And so I've had quite a gamut of experience of managing financials, multi-million-dollar budgets, construction sites. And really, that's where I lead off to, that being on the town council, you're in charge of projects and approving budgets of renovations and items that come across the town, that you really got to know what you're talking about when it comes to building materials and construction, and what is the DPW and are folks in that department spending for money, and does it make sense? And so I find that to be very valuable, as well as my financial forecasting experience. We manage about I think we're close to $30 million or $35 million budget right now. And you can't just take that light to heart, that we're managing almost 27,000 people's money in town for the DPW, the police, the fire department, and the various other items that we spend money on the town side. And so I understand there are many people who would love for us to be able to find ways to cut, but there are also a lot of the items that are within our budget that's contractual for our employees, the police and fire and DPW and the town staff. And certainly the other end of that is we need to start finding ways to create revenue, and our biggest driving item to create revenue is to bring more business to town.
More business, exactly.
Between the commercial and the industrial users to come to town. They are very light on our uses in town from the police and fire, so they do not make much of a demand on our services. And we reap the benefit of creating the jobs and earning the tax revenue for the town. And I think we need to, as a town, either do a better job of promoting and marketing and working with realtors, and as well, working with our new assistant town manager, who her role is to help drive business to come to town. And I think the town councilors need to, maybe have a little powwow with the town manager and the assistant town manager of, brainstorming of ideas of what can we do to help you, and how can we bring more business to town. And as well, the other end is I hear a lot of people in the business world say that Londonderry is very hard to work with within planning and DPW. And I think we need to work with the town manager to find ways within his responsibilities with the staff, how can we make it slightly easier than what we've been doing? Because you're spending a lot of money on engineering, on attorney fees, and other specialties for business to come to town. And that starts to add up in cost over time. And there's a lot of people in businesses who don't come here because they know the time and effort. So I'd love to be able to work with the town manager to see if he can work with his staff to find ways to ease things so that we can find ways to bring more business to town, whether it be small businesses or large businesses. We have a lot of wonderful small businesses in town and a lot of wonderful great businesses in town. Large in size. And really, I want to be there because there's a lot of people who go home every day and they take care of their family, their kids. They don't have the time to be at the nuanced meetings that happen at the town council, and there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that
A lot of preparation.
there's a lot of preparation, and people don't realize a lot of their tax bill and their taxes is based on what happens on a local town level. It's not your
really is.
state or your federal taxes that affect your property taxes. It's what's happening on the town and school side. And certainly, I guess I'm just a glutton for punishment with being an Eagle Scout for representing the town and trying so many times. I guess I consider myself a little bit of Abe Lincoln in that sense, as he had ran for, I think, 11 or 16 times before he truly got himself elected. So I just like being able to serve the town and put forth my knowledge on my past work experiences, and as well serving the town for 3 years on the town council to the board and providing an even-keeled emotion on the board and providing, listening to all opinions from the public and the 4 other members and the experts that may come before us before making a judgment. I think there's times people speak too quickly on an item before really making a decision or get things heated, and I'd rather know all the facts before making the real judgment. Some people may say that when I was on the council I didn't speak out on many things one way or the other, but I listened and I found what was the right way to help the townspeople or to
Absolutely.
help the different departments before really making a choice in the matter. And I think one of the worst things that you can try to do is be too outspoken beforehand and then try and take that back. I'd rather have all the facts ahead of time
Exactly.
And speak
before making the
clearly
right
and right.
choices.
Very good, yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people who don't realize how much goes on there, and
Yeah, but
you just need to have an even-keeled mentality when you go on the council that you're trying to look out for all people.
well put, all people,
Very-
all
yeah,
ages,
everyone,
all
yep.
income levels, everyone.
Yes. And then the other side of that is, we need to find ways to also help drive business to town that are also on the residential side. There's maybe people who probably believe that we have a lot of people in town, but when it comes to housing that younger generations can afford, we are lacking in that. I'd love to, see it come. I know Woodmont is slowly building out eventually. I don't know when or how they may develop, but we are running out of land to build. And I know that Londonderry is becoming a very expensive place to live. And I'd love to see more younger generations live here, but I know it's getting quite costly. I know they're moving up to Manchester, or some to Salem or Nashville, or staying in Massachusetts if they can find something. But my own younger brother, he still lives at home with my parents because it's too costly to move out, whether around here or closer to Boston, and it's a tough economy to live right now.
It is, it's very
And the
tough.
cost of apartments is just shocking. I never
It's
would have guessed.
very
It seems
high.
like we went from 700 to 2,600. Like,
And now we're even higher.
overnight. And
Yeah,
even, yeah,
it's
crazy.
crazy.
Last I was hearing, I think for a 2-bedroom, it was about between 3,500 to 4,000.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you move out?
Right,
Right.
You know?
right.
At those rates.
Oh my gosh.
I had a friend, she was telling me her daughter wants to move out and get an apartment, and she's, how many roommates would you like to have?
It's very
Because she knows her daughter doesn't make a ton of money, and it's just like, yeah, you'd like to move out, but mom and dad are trying to make it easy for you.
Right. It's
So,
unbelievable. Well, we thank you for your service
Of
on
course.
the council before and on
Definitely.
so many other committees that you're always willing to raise your hand and help and jump in from the times of when, high school and Eagle Scout time to
yes,
right up
and
through
I
consistency.
think I've been on the planning board for about maybe 7 years now as well.
That's something.
That's great.
So
It's great.
it's all about having an even-keeled personality on the boards. You don't want to have a radical mind one way or the other. You want to take in all facts and make a good decision, whether it be for someone's coming for you with an application for something
Right.
or for the townspeople.
Absolutely.
And as well, hopefully you find the right ways to then also help the people in town with the police and fire department
Yes.
and DPW to make sure that they have the resources
Strong
to be able
and
to take
safe.
care of us in town.
Right.
Especially, these days with money for roads and highways and for DPW. They provide such a great
They
service for us
really
right now
do.
with plowing and keeping us safe.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell our voters out there that final words, if you will, that you want to just talk to them about? Come on out and vote for me, and
Certainly. So if you're looking for someone who's going to have a good deal of experience with financial planning, financial forecasting, helping managing the town, my experience being on the town council, and having a good, even-keeled personality on the council, please vote for me, Ted Combs, on March 14th. Thank you.
it's very good.
Thank you.
Thank
you,
you
Ted.
so
Thanks
much,
for
Ted.
being
Thank
here.
you, of course.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. We're back with Tammy Siekmann, who is running for our town council 3-year position. And Tammy, we're really grateful that you're here with us tonight. So
welcome,
thank you
welcome.
so much.
Thank you very much.
And if
Thank you for
want-
having me.
Oh, it's really nice, and it's a great opportunity for our viewers to get to know you. And just take a little time to tell us why you're running, and what some of your thoughts are.
So I moved here 22 years ago, and I brought my girls up here, and married my husband Tim, who's on the budget committee. And my most important thing, and why I'm running, is because of service. Because I feel like everyone in their community should serve
Yeah.
in some capacity. So I've tried to do that. My daughter played football for the Lancers, made the team with Coach Sawyer, and became a lawyer, and is an attorney now and has her own practice. My daughter Maggie has 2 children and had a hard time when her daughter was born with a stroke. And my daughter Olivia went to Oxford, and now she works for the mayor of New York. And I just believe in paying it back to especially the young people. That's important. That's what I care about in our community, and making sure that we give back to our young people, because we're not going to live here forever.
Right. Yeah.
And we have to pay it forward. And that's why I'm running.
Good. Good for
I think
you.
that was beautifully put. And the idea of paying it forward and really getting involved in the process. And
I was on the Senior Resource Committee for years. Because of my father, I was also, I took care of him. I moved him up here from Missouri, and he lived in Derry, assisted living. So I learned assisted living and how things work with taking care of the elderly, which is why Jenny has her practice and does what she does.
helping many seniors throughout town.
So seniors are extremely important
Yeah.
to me. And yeah, I do what I do.
Yeah. And you volunteer where needed. And
Yep,
absolutely.
that's what I do.
Yeah. My
Yep.
goodness. And your family too is very involved. Your husband Tim.
Tim's in the budget committee.
Budget committee and
He's a quiet Marine, combat Marine. Served his time in the Marine Corps, and that's what we do. I'm the chair of the Veterans and Military Families.
oh, very nice.
I've been doing that for years, privately with Al Baldessaro for a little while,
Very
and
nice.
with all the Marines and all the military. And Jim Green is my co-chair.
Who's the
That's
chairperson
fantastic.
for us
Yeah,
on
for
our Senior Resource
yeah,
Committee.
So we do that privately. I choose to be private in those moments because I feel like I don't want to be the hero. I just want to do the work.
Behind the scenes, right?
That's good.
Yeah, making it better for others.
So that's what I do. You know, I
Yes.
work behind the scenes. So, yeah. And so, yeah. And Tim's on the budget committee. He's been elected 3 times, I think.
Yes, right.
3 or 4 times. So he knows the system well. As you know, John has been a good mentor for me in that regard. And so is Deb Paul, actually, because you have to see both sides of all this
Right.
and how things work. And I think that every person matters.
Young,
And-
old, and all of us in between.
And I think you have to have a balance with, you know, how our town works. And we have to move our young people forward, give them opportunities. We have to balance a budget, as Tim has taught me, in general. And I've ran as the chair of the Democratic Party. I'm stepping down. Because my time is done. But I'm bipartisan in our community. I've always felt that way. And I help every single person that comes to me.
Absolutely you do. Yeah, that's.
And so
And town council would give you an opportunity to continue that work.
I feel like as a town council, I can learn. I think the most important thing is if you're going to be elected on town council, the most important thing I've learned in what I do is you first have to learn. You have to listen,
Right.
and then you learn as to how things are done. And I have a good relationship with Chris Pappas and, you know, Shaheen and Sununu, and all bipartisan. It's about doing the work.
It really is for the people.
Mm-hmm.
It's for the people.
It really is.
It's
Yeah.
about getting things done in the right way, and I feel like that I can do that, and I can work across the aisle all the time, and I feel like because I've taught my children well,
Right.
I can spread that. Yeah,
That knowledge.
so I'm
Mhm.
confident in doing the work.
Good.
And keep my head down. Keep your powder dry.
I like that.
And just do the work. And as a woman, I will say, I forgot to mention that because I thought about this today. I do feel like there needs to be a woman on that council, because I think the women bring a lot of good things to in the community, and we're not always heard necessarily. Just because, we aren't always given that voice. So I want to be that voice.
That's great.
And I want to bring that to the table.
That's good. Well, is there anything else you'd like to tell our viewers as far as getting out and voting for you? And
Well, I hope you vote for me. I'm not a sign person. I don't believe in littering our town, if you will. But I will put our signs out. And I hope that you will vote for me, and that I can be a voice for you, And I will always have an open door. And I hope to be a part of the team for the town of Londonderry in every capacity, across the board. And I feel like I've put my time in.
I think you have done a wonderful job.
So, yeah, I'm confident that I can get the vote.
Good, good.
That's wonderful. Well, Tammy, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for
And
coming
Tammy
in.
Siekmann, running for town council. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much.
We really appreciate
And
it.
I appreciate your guys' time because this is not easy.
Aw, no, it's.
And
thank
no one
you,
ever
though.
thanks the thankless.
Oh, that's nice, and we appreciate that
Yeah.
too, Tammy. True, you know.
No one ever thanks the
Yeah.
thankless.
Well,
So,
that's
We're unsung heroes.
yes, that's really
That's
sweet.
how you have
know.
to see it. That's how you should
Yeah,
see yourselves.
yeah.
You're unsung
Yeah.
heroes.
Well, that's nice.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah, we.
Well, thank you very
Yeah,
much for that.
thank you for saying that. It is. It's but it's an honor for us to be here and to listen to everyone's stories and to share, so that our viewers really can make a really
Make a
good,
good decision.
a decision, an educated vote, getting to know the people that are ready to serve you. And everyone, Deb, now that we're are wrapping up our show for tonight, for the last 3 nights actually
Yeah.
that we've been
Yes.
doing this, and
It's a thankless job. So
well,
take
yeah,
a break.
There you go. Take a break, and
I'm
we'll
sorry
all,
I'm teaching you guys.
and we'll
That's
all
fine.
head home. And thank you. And hopefully this will bring a little bit of information and knowledge to the people that
And
the
call me
names that you
anytime.
see. There you go.
My phone is
Perfect.
always open. I help people every day. So
Perfect.
good.
It's wonderful. All right, and I guess we'll say good
We'll
night.
say good night. Thank you.
you.
And
Thank
get out
you,
and
Tammy.
vote.